Being laid off or even fired from a job can be devastating, a devastating time for anyone. And with the recent job cuts within many federal agencies, many are now facing the question of where to find their next job. This can cause a lot of mental stress. Joining me now, mental health expert, Dr. Charryse Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So let's go ahead and talk about it because this has been happening a lot. I know you've spoken with us a couple of times in this last month. What's really going on with people as they start to hear this news?
People are stressed. People are concerned. The changes that happen when someone receives a letter or notification that they may lose their job or they're going to lose their job happens quickly. They don't have a lot of time. So the mental health and the anxiety before, during, and after is extreme.
I know when you talk to people, what can they do? Because you could get that letter and then they say, hey, you got a week left. And that's a lot of preparing. But once that preparing starts, there's a lot of depression and anxious feelings.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I do believe that federal workers, regardless of how long you've been there, really should put themselves in a position to consider, if this happens, what are my options? What do I know that we can do? What do I know that we need to do? And don't be afraid to talk to someone and let them know how you're feeling, whether that's a family or a friend or a professional.
I was going to say mental health is so key, so important. One of the things, how do you tell people about ways to cope? I know, you always hear people say box breathing or go out for a walk or stuff, but how do you prepare for something like this? Because even if you're walking, you're still thinking about losing that job.
Well, don't be afraid to think about it, because a lot of times it's the fear that keeps us in that place of avoidance. But what I tell people is choose a specific time to think about it so it's not something that's constantly on your mind. Also, try to stay centered on things that are important for you. What we want to do when we're extremely stressed out is we want to balance that with joy and being reminded of, I have people in my life that care about me, here's what's important to me, I still have value, and begin to dream. Because sometimes being laid off or having a loss is also an opportunity to pivot.
Yeah, I was going to say there's always something, but what about this? We always think about this, the people that you leave behind, your friends. We were talking a little bit about this. I know that you see the person who gets laid off, but then there's people that stay behind that still have some mental issues.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges, because it creates a level of insecurity, because here are people that you've done life with for years that you can count on. Let's also acknowledge that when people are laid off or, the workforce is cut, the work doesn't change. So the stress goes up of the people that are there, and they're grieving. So see it as the grief that it is, and know that you're going to have a lot of feelings around it that you're going to need to work through.
So what do we do now? I know as we're moving forward with this, we're hearing more announcements each day about these cuts. How do you prepare, or how do you help people prepare for the possibilities?
Yeah, I want them to look at their options. It's a great time to start looking at what we call your bare bones budget, to go, if you need to cut back things temporarily, what might that look like? Talking, if you have a partner or spouse, with them about changes that you need to make. You may need to prepare your children. So I think honesty in this matter is helpful. And then I think as a community, we need to be cautious of what we say, because we can demoralize federal workers by agreeing or making blanket statements, believing that they don't deserve to have their jobs. But these are people, these are humans, these are families.
I was going to say that's one of the things that you were just saying, because even if somebody gets laid off, they've been hearing comments of other people saying, oh, that's good that they got laid off. And I don't think that's good for anyone.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Many of the people who work for the federal government were once people that were not only just servants that served in a service, and so they want to continue to do those things for themselves, and they do pay attention to what other people say. So I think kindness goes a long way.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Dr. Charryse Johnson. Of course, we're going to be talking about this more as these days move on and these job changes happen for a lot of people. Thank you so much.